for the business clients, it's also, it's a broader perspective of, rather than this one project that they will have us on, how does that fit within your business and what the goals of your business are? How does that fit within, and all of that fit within your life? I mean, that really helps me be a lot more helpful, because oftentimes I can make suggestions that are more powerful than, as far as accomplishing a goal, make much more powerful suggestions than what they came in thinking they needed. I mean, that's just because of some experience and that kind of thing. And then on the deal-making side, because that's a lot of what we do, is putting together contracts, negotiating deals, that kind of thing, that coming from a position of the non-litigation position, where it was we're across the table and we're enemies, and we're fighting. Even the term from litigation, oh, I catch myself saying this still. Well, our best argument here is, no. There's no longer an argument, it's just a position, it's a suggestion, that kind of thing. And to start to treat the other attorneys with whom I'm working in a more personal way. And it just helps the communications if it's not combative. And part of that too is that I've moved to the transactional area. I just think there's a greater quality of life for me in the transactional area, where attorneys are more likely to help each other out than they are to try to stab each other in the back. And not that that's all that's going on in litigation, but there may be just a little bit of that going on. For me, it's about relationships, and it's about attitude, and it's about a win-win approach. I mean, it really is. In our negotiations, it's about, I want to, if you and I are working on a transaction opposite each other, the truth is we both want the transaction. You know, if it's commercial real estate, you want to buy, I want to sell. Great, okay, there's a pretty good goal. The rest of it's sort of details after that. So let me help you get as much of what you need as possible. Maybe not everything you want, but what you need, and then we have to discern that. But I want you to get your needs met, and I want my client to have their needs met. But usually those are all work out. The highest calling of the law for me is healing, and I get emotional about it. We got lost along the way. I got out of law school in '74, and the reputation of the legal profession, at least in Texas, still had some polish, and there was still a radiance around it that it was an honorable profession. And certainly it's taken a hit in the intervening decades until now. And I have theories about allowing advertising on TV and things like that, and some of the things that have happened, and the combative nature of it. I also have theories about the number of lawyers that have been pumped out of law schools, and supply and demand, and people fighting for business. And also have a soapbox about the education system that we've talked about some in the conference. That it seems like a very old education system for we the lawyers, and that there may be some new areas that might move into that would be more helpful in that education. So for me, I think the highest calling is to get back to what most of the people I know really wanted out of the law in the first place, and that is they wanted to help, and they wanted to help heal, and to take difficult concepts and have the clients understand those and communicate that, and to take my client's position and translate that through to the other side in a way that they get it, and to try to communicate in such a way, or create relationships and communicate in such a way that we all can try to get what we want here. I mean, that's the idea, and I think that's the noble part of our profession. And yeah, love the litigators. There are times that you just have to do it. You have to go to the courthouse, and that's great. I just think there's a lot that we could be doing, a lot more that we could be doing ahead of time to avoid getting into that situation in the first place. There was an attorney I went to work for when I first got out of school, and we really didn't see eye to eye on a lot of different things. But he taught me several good things, and running the courthouse all the time. And one of them was to treat everyone with respect, and not to come across as a know-it-all, especially as a young lawyer when I didn't know anything. And primarily the clerks of the courts. But that attitude was one that my father also had related to anybody that came into our lives. If it was yard care people to anybody, it was treat everybody with respect. And having that reiterated within that environment, I thought was really great. For me, the people that have affected me professionally in a positive way really have been business clients of mine that I admire. People who come up with an idea and start it at the breakfast table, have this little idea, and then just focus on it, and by being who they are and being smart and bringing others around them, create this amazing company, which then creates all these jobs, which then creates all these other things. I mean, just, you know, really amazing people. There's a guy by the name of Mike Malorin, had a company by the name of Day Dots, had past tense because he sold it recently, and they've done very well with the sale of the business. But it was literally a company that they started, he and his wife started, and the little kids probably started at the breakfast table, the All-American Story, and doing little printed dots, day of the week dots to put on food for fast food restaurants so they'd know whether the food had expired or not. And that built great marketing, built that up. And another thing I loved of it, in a networking group with him, and a recontextualization of the business. Thought they were a printing business. I mean, it sort of had the concept we're a printing business. And out of the work of that group, there was this belief, all of a sudden this concept came in that you're not a printing company, you're a food safety company. And the context shifted. And that was a powerful moment for everybody in the room, but it was really powerful for me to recontextualize things and the power that comes from looking at it from a different angle and opening it up. And it opened it up for them, so they grew into this very large food safety company that then became very successful and all that. And that was really what kicked them into the next level. And so that kind of person that has the courage to take a dream and put their money where their mouth is, and their time and their energy, and get after it, and be open to taking a whole new look at something that's pretty darn successful already and just flipping it upside down, but then knocking it out of the ballpark. And for my own practice, recontextualizing is a large part of what I really enjoy doing now, is listening to people. And we've done that in the conference, you know, where people are listening and say, I see it a little bit differently than that. Oh, sound in the room, and everybody, the lights come on, you know, and everybody, wow, you're right. You're right. It's a bigger concept. So anyway, that's as far as what's possibly affected me. I think business people that I admire, and the ability to continue to take a look at it, continue to be willing to shift. And what I find in trying to, we talked about how would I explain to somebody who's more mainstream, I do that a lot now. I mean, because my clients are very mainstream, and actually I like that. I think that's one of my missions, is to take what we've all been talking about here and language it in such a way that it is more mainstream. And I personally believe there are a lot of lawyers doing this already. They're not calling it that. They might not even have an awareness that there's an alignment with this term called holistic. But I believe that, I mean, there are a lot of, and we all know, there are a lot of really good lawyers. I mean, really good lawyers that are big hearts. They want to help, they want to heal, and I think a lot of them are using this already. I've been asked this a lot about, from a young person who's thinking about going into the law. I would urge them to find a way for them to be as much of themselves as possible within the practice of law. That to the degree that they find themselves in a situation where they're having to give up large portions of themselves to make it work, that area of law ultimately will not be successful for them from a holistic viewpoint, because their health's going to suffer, relationships are suffer, whatever, that's my belief. So my pitch would be, great, come on in. By the way, let me tell you about this group of folks. Once you come to the conference with me, help us move into the new generation for the law. I think we really are at a place where we're waking up to a whole new era in the practice of law, where we can be humans and be lawyers